They never needed to lock you in a cage. They just had to convince you you were never free. From the moment you opened your eyes in this world, you were surrounded by rules, labels, systems, all whispering the same message: you're only human. But what if that message was the biggest lie of all? What if the truth is that you're not here to survive? You're here to awaken a power so immense it threatens every structure built to keep you asleep. This isn't some abstract spiritual fluff. It's about real, raw inner power that's been buried under years of mental programming and emotional conditioning. You've felt it before, that strange sense that you're meant for more, that life isn't what it seems. That was never imagination. That was your divine nature knocking, and the moment you stop ignoring it, everything begins to change. 1. The truth. They never wanted you to remember. He grew up thinking life was just about getting a job, paying bills, and surviving until it was over. That's what the world teaches you, right? But something always felt off. That quiet discomfort, like he was playing a role in someone else's movie. And the older he got, the louder the question became: is this really all I'm here for? It wasn't a midlife crisis. It was his soul knocking on the door. No one told him the rules of the game were designed to keep him small. Not small in body, but small in awareness. Every institution he trusted trained him to forget his own divine awakening. They didn't need bars to build the prison. They used beliefs. School taught him obedience, religion taught guilt, media sold fear, and medicine told him healing was only outside of him. Each system took a piece of his inner power and called it normal. Imagine realizing that everything around you, down to the food in your fridge and the shows on your screen, was built to block something sacred inside you. Not by accident, but by design. The God within wasn't gone, just buried under conditioning. And the people who programmed this reality, they never wanted him to remember, because a man who knows he's divine doesn't obey like a man who thinks he's broken. But here's where the plot twists. That divine spark isn't destroyed, it's only dormant. He's not here to escape this world, he's here to wake up in it. And that shift, that inner remembrance, is what every system around him quietly fears. Because once he starts questioning, once he starts feeling again, something ancient stirs. And now his journey takes him deeper, back to the sacred knowledge the ancients never forgot. 2. The forgotten science of divinity. Long before modern science tried to dissect the soul, ancient civilizations already understood the nature of human divinity. They didn't see God as a man in the sky, but as a universal force flowing through all living beings. The Egyptians called it Netta, not a deity, but a cosmic principle vibrating through every cell. The Vedic traditions spoke of Brahman, the unchanging reality behind the illusion of separation. And at the core of these teachings was the pineal gland, a mysterious structure deep within the brain, seen as the seat of consciousness itself. This tiny gland, shaped like a pine cone, wasn't just a symbol on temple walls. It was the gateway to divine awakening. When activated, it allowed sages, mystics, and healers to perceive other realms, download knowledge from the unseen, and feel their connection to everything. Today, science hesitates to fully embrace this truth, yet studies show the pineal regulates melatonin, synchronizes circadian rhythms, and reacts to light, both physical and energetic. It's not a coincidence that ancient temples were built to align with celestial bodies. They were constructed to tune the mind to divine frequency. But here's the catch. Knowing that this gland exists isn't the same as using it. In today's world, the pineal gland is inactive in most people, like a high-powered antenna disconnected from its source. That's why people walk around feeling numb, anxious, disconnected from meaning. They chase dopamine hits from phones, sugar, and attention, never realizing it's spiritual suppression disguised as entertainment. Their inner power stays locked away, not because it's gone, but because they've forgotten how to reach it. If he wants to experience that sacred reconnection, He has to treat the pineal like the spiritual organ it is. That means silence, darkness, breathwork, and conscious living. Start with early morning sunlight, digital detoxes, and moments of deep presence. Swap a mindless scroll for 10 minutes of focused breath. Read books like The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life or Autobiography of a Yogi. These aren't just practices, they're invitations to reawaken the bridge between body and spirit. And once the light returns to that inner eye, he'll begin to see just how much has been hidden. 3. How they attack your spiritual technology. He never questioned the food on his plate or the toothpaste he used each morning. Why would he? It's what everyone else does. But beneath that normality lies the real danger. Silent attacks on the parts of him that connect to higher awareness. The pineal gland isn't just overlooked, it's targeted. Through fluoride in tap water, preservatives in food, and synthetic chemicals everywhere, the system ensures that his spiritual antenna stays jammed. It's not about health alone, it's about control. When his pineal gland gets calcified, it's like a fog settles over his inner vision. He loses clarity, intuition weakens, and the connection to divine awakening dims. Processed foods filled with additives don't just mess with his gut, they short-circuit the harmony between his body and his consciousness. Microplastics, now found even in human placentas, are loaded with endocrine disruptors that throw his hormonal balance off. And without balance, how can he even begin to hear the whispers of the soul? This spiritual suppression isn't aggressive, it's subtle. That's why it works. He doesn't feel like he's being attacked. He just feels tired, anxious, distracted or foggy, and then blames it on age or stress. Meanwhile, the foods, chemicals, and environmental toxins work day and night to keep him disconnected. Imagine trying to tune a radio to a sacred frequency, but static from 1,000 other stations drowns it out. That's exactly what's happening. He's trying to wake up in a room filled with noise. But there's a way to break through that interference. He can start simple. Get a fluoride filter, switch to natural toothpaste, eat whole foods as close to their source as possible. He doesn't have to be perfect. He just needs to become intentional. Detox isn't about punishment. It's about reclaiming clarity. Adding spirulina, cilantro, or chlorella into his meals, for instance, isn't just health advice. It's a rebellion against the fog. And as the fog lifts, what returns isn't just energy. It's vision. It's power. And soon he'll realize the war on his consciousness didn't just attack the mind. It went after the very core of his divine self. 4. The war on consciousness. He wakes up, checks his phone, and the battle begins. Notifications, headlines, and scrolling distractions hit him before his feet even touch the floor. What seems like innocent content is actually a stream of subtle programming designed to pull him into fear, judgment, and comparison. It's not just social media, it's a whole environment engineered to trap his mind in survival mode. And in that state, divine awakening doesn't stand a chance. The mind, when stuck in fear, can't access higher frequencies. The nervous system locks into fight or flight, pumping cortisol, narrowing perception, and making him easy to manipulate. Ever wonder why the news is so emotionally charged? It's a design. Repetition, urgency, and conflict aren't just headlines. They're hypnotic techniques. They keep his awareness small, reactive, and disconnected from inner power. When the mind is busy with survival, the soul gets silenced. This isn't science fiction. It's a reality most people live without even noticing. Every screen, every algorithm, every glowing rectangle he looks at, it's shaping his brain waves. Studies show certain refresh rates induce passive alpha states, making the brain more suggestible. That means he's not just watching content, content is watching him, training him. And every time he unconsciously consumes, he gives up a piece of his inner sovereignty. No force required, just distraction. But he can flip the script. Try this. Start the day in silence, not with a screen. Instead of doom scrolling, light a candle, breathe deeply, and set an intention. Listen to frequencies like 963 Hz or binaural beats to recalibrate the nervous system. Read something real, like Power versus Force or The Kabbalion. In these simple acts, he begins to unhook from the matrix of noise. And when he creates just a little space, the real voice begins to return, not from the phone, but from within. 5. Awakening begins in the body. He's been taught to treat his body like a machine, fuel it, push it, medicate it when it breaks down. But the body isn't just flesh and bone, it's a transmitter of consciousness. When he eats toxic food, stays sedentary, or ignores signals like fatigue and anxiety, he's not just hurting his health, he's dulling his connection to the divine. Divine awakening doesn't float in from the sky, it rises up through the body, and if the system's clogged, the signal gets blocked. His gut, for instance, produces over 90% of serotonin. That's not just a fun fact. It means emotional states, mental clarity, and even intuition are deeply tied to digestion. When he eats real food, leafy greens, fermented vegetables, omega-3 fats, he's not just feeding the body, he's rewiring the mind. That fog he feels, the low energy, the numbness, most of it traces back to inflammation, gut dysbiosis, and poor nutrient flow. The solution isn't outside, it's on his plate. So what can he start doing today? Cut the artificial junk, refined sugars, seed oils, processed snacks. Replace them with conscious fuel, avocados, olive oil, wild berries, and herbs like ashwagandha or maca. Drink clean water. Move the body daily, not just for abs, but to circulate energy. Practices like cold exposure, sunlight in the morning, and intermittent fasting aren't biohacks. They're ancient rituals repackaged. They clear the fog so the divine signal can come through. It's not about perfection, it's about momentum. When the body feels clear, awareness sharpens. He notices more, feels more, responds instead of reacting. And the best part, he starts to remember, not from books or videos, but from the intelligence within. Every cell begins to hum with something familiar, something ancient, and that hum starts leading him somewhere deeper, into the realm where energy moves before thought even arrives. 6. Activate the hidden energy within you. He might have heard about chakras, breathwork, or kundalini energy, but until now, it all seemed like mystic talk reserved for yogis in caves. What no one told him is that this hidden system isn't mystical, it's mechanical. The body carries an energy blueprint, waiting to be switched on. It's the reason he feels tension in his chest when stressed or a lump in his throat when emotional. These aren't just feelings, they're blocked pathways, and when cleared, they unlock access to divine awakening beyond the mind. The ancients knew what modern life hides. Breath is the key to everything. Through breath, he can regulate emotion, clear energy, and open up dormant channels. One powerful method he can try today is breath retention with bandhas, those energetic locks. Start by inhaling deeply, holding the breath, engaging the root lock by tightening the pelvic floor, pulling the abdomen in, and tucking the chin. Focus attention at the third eye. Do this slowly, respectfully. With time, it changes his whole frequency. This practice isn't just for peace or stress relief, it's about activation. When he breathes with intention, he awakens Kundalini, the dormant energy at the base of the spine. That's the moment things shift. Synchronicities increase. He starts knowing things before they happen. Old emotional wounds resurface, not to torture him, but to be transmuted. His awareness expands and the world begins to look different. He stops thinking about energy and starts feeling it move. But breath is only the doorway. Sound healing, barefoot grounding, cold showers, and sacred movement like Tai Chi or ecstatic dance also stir the subtle body. He doesn't need to get it perfect. He just needs to stay consistent. One round of breathwork a day can change the way he sleeps, dreams, even speaks. And as this hidden system switches online, he'll begin to live from a new center. Not the head, not the heart, but the core of his inner power. And that power isn't new. It's just been waiting for him to return. 7. Living as the God you are. Once he realizes he's more than flesh, more than thought, he can't go back to who he was. But awakening isn't a one-time event. It's a daily embodiment. Every moment becomes sacred when it's met with presence. Washing dishes turns into meditation. A disagreement with his partner becomes a test of awareness. He stops searching for God in temples and starts noticing God in traffic, in breath, in his own reflection. The separation begins to dissolve. And here's the real shift. He no longer needs to perform spirituality. He doesn't need to prove how conscious he is. The inner peace speaks for itself. He walks into a room and people feel it. Not because of what he says, but because of what he radiates. That's divine awakening in motion, not loud, not flashy, but undeniable. He doesn't float above life. He enters it more fully than ever, and ironically, it's in the mundane that the mystical finally reveals itself. His emotions, once seen as flaws, now become guides. Anger shows where boundaries are needed. Sadness signals disconnection. Joy confirms alignment. He learns to listen, not react. To pause, breathe, and act from his inner power, not ego habit. And the deeper he lives from that center, the more life starts reflecting it back. More synchronicities, more flow, more truth. Not because the world changed, but because he did. Now, the idea of being God no longer sounds arrogant. It feels natural. He's not claiming to be the God above others. He's recognizing the same divine spark in himself that exists in all things. It humbles him, grounds him, frees him, and just when he thinks he's arrived, something whispers. There's still more to uncover, something ancient still waiting to be remembered in a way even deeper than before. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.